Hey there, everyone. It's the All-Star break. There's no more baseball for a few days. So get a respite from some of this. Today was difficult. Sunday morning, like a million things going on, obviously. And when I wake up and there wasn't any money for the first like few hours, so it's just like, do you understand the amount of effort that goes into sanitizing this thing and making sure it's accurate when I release it to people? Um, it takes a lot of work, and I wanted to kind of focus in this video to show you, it's a really good time here going into the All-Star break, how you reverse engineer the formulas in this file and how you can alter this on your own when you have a copy of the Excel file. If you've ever purchased a copy of the Excel file this season, you can, after just any one day, import the stats from RotoWire and you can start to get projections for the day, and they will be as accurate as the version that I send out. If you also make roster adjustments in the matrix, like there's these new players from Kansas City that showed up today, Freddie Fermin and Michael Massey, you're going to make adjustments to the matrix sheet. You need to update your batters table and make sure that your formulas are correct, pulling the right teams for all the players. That's how the matrix and the batter sheet are connected, is by the team that the player plays for. You need to update your pitching stats for 2022. You need to update your team pitching stats and your advanced pitching and your team pitching, regular pitching stats, advanced batting, and regular batting stats. Those are all the things that go in every day. But there's another element to this. So if we take a look at the results today, it looks like a 6-6 day, totally mediocre. This is what the look is top down by margin, but we like to look top down by MXP factor, which is better. And that is shown here in the Google sheet. Also, all the games that were above 20 MXP were these games here: Houston, Toronto, the Mets, Atlanta, the Yankees, Philadelphia, Colorado, and Seattle. Those games go 4 and 4, so it's still a mixed day up there. And definitely a mixed day below there, catching 1 out of 3 underdogs with Arizona, but Baltimore and Minnesota both lose. Minnesota loses drastically. So not a great day, but it doesn't do perfect every day. So as we look at this, though, I want to say, well, is there anything that we could do to the file to make this day better? Are there any things that are pointing out as a problem? And someone commented in the YouTube video from yesterday about how they've taken the Excel file that they purchased a few days ago and they started reverse engineering samples for the entire season, and try to retroactively change the power percentages for teams and change what the historical results would be to see what the optimal percentages are. That is a great exercise to do, as it will help you going forward. But I have to kind of do it on a daily basis, especially if the algorithm starts to not win as much as normal, because something's probably off at that point of the season. So let's talk about this today, all right? So today, a couple things that I'd like to work on. Minnesota getting destroyed. Losing by 11 runs. We have this game at almost no margin. Well, I've noticed this actually the last couple of days. There was a couple games that were almost no margin that had crazy, crazy finishes. The day before, it was Cleveland and Philadelphia. We had them winning, and they did win, but we had them as really close games and fairly low margins, especially the Philadelphia game, only 4%. So how can we kind of update this so that, Minnesota falls off this list, because they shouldn't have been favored by the algorithm. They got killed, right? Well, let's look at the game. So the Minnesota White Sox game is right here. It has it as a 3.5 to 3.1 game. There are a good amount of innings pitched for both of these pitchers. They have extensive records. They have their ERA and their WHIP should be good. So what's going on? Well, I can see that the White Sox lineup factor is only 2.7. And I can also see that they don't score as many per game and they give up a little bit more per game. All right. Well, as we get later in the season, I kind of like to shy away from these average runs per game and average runs allowed, because they're an entire season stat. And we kind of want to look for more specifics with pitchers, more specifics with lineups. That's going to give us a better view of the game. So let's bring these down to 5%. Okay. Then let's go back and refresh and let's see what happens. Minnesota just dropped down a little bit, right? They're still favored, but they dropped down a little bit. Well, what else can we do? Well, I'm really looking at this lineup factor here. Why did the White Sox lineup factor, why is it only showing as a 2.7 when clearly they out hit Minnesota and they hit Archer really well. And also here's something else. ERA for Dylan Cease is 2.3 versus 308. So maybe we need a little bit more on pitcher ERA. Let's go up to 18 there. See what happens. Didn't get them off, but they're still at 0.2. I would suspect it's actually not ERA. I think it's lineup factor. Well, right now we're putting 40% on the lineup factor. So you could try lowering it down a little bit to 35%. That's going to remove Minnesota off here. That's going to make this a 7-5 day. You're still going to have trouble up top. Houston blows a game to Oakland. I mean, what are you going to do? Toronto wins 4-2, comes back. Mets blow a game up 2-1. Colorado never had a chance. Pittsburgh beat them pretty handily 8-3. And Atlanta, I understand the Atlanta-Washington game because he only had 3 innings pitched for Corey Abbott, and I assume he pitched a pretty good game if that was the starter. And the Nats offense picked it up later in the game. So I'm not too upset about losing this game with only 3 innings pitched. So this is a better look. This moves Baltimore down here and gives them a MXP factor of only 12. And this helps. Now, I'm not in favor necessarily, though, of just reducing lineup factor, which is what we just did. I'd rather figure out why this 2.7 is appearing for the White Sox and how we can make this number a little closer to Minnesota's lineup factor, because clearly the offense was there today. Well, we go into the batter's pivot and we start to say, well, all these percentages up here at the top are a distribution of what each player, how much we're giving them for each type of stat. All right. Well, if we look at just Minnesota and the White Sox, all right, we're going to just look at those 2 teams, Minnesota and the White Sox. Okay. We're starting to see, like, what are these contribution scores, which is what appears over here. That's the sum total of the kind of the impact that the player is having. So it says that Jose Abreu on the White Sox has a really, really high percentage, and he's a productive player, right? There's a bunch of these Minnesota guys up here: Luis Arraez, Gio Urshela, Max Kepler. So, like, what's doing this here? Is there any way we can get just the White Sox guys to get a little higher rating for some reason, because maybe our stats are off? And from the looks of this, we want to look for areas where we see green in this chunk of area here, where there's like green numbers. That means that they're very good at whatever that stat is. So, like, Abreu is really good with runs, or very productive with runs and hits and doubles. Look at us putting 10% on triples, and there are hardly any triples anyway. So that's probably not a good one. Let's lower that. Caught stealing, hardly anything. Let's just make that -2. I don't think it matters all that much. Walks, walks can create offense. Average on base percentage. Let's bring that up a little bit. Now we just made some changes. Let's see what that does to the lineup factor, which is going to change automatically. They now are up to 2.8, but Minnesota has risen up to 3.5. I think they were 3.4 before, right? So this is the type of thing that you need to do, is figure out what makes a productive baseball player that leads to wins, that leads to offense, that leads to them being productive, right? And what is the proper distribution? Are homers that good? Maybe. I don't know. Point is that's the kind of work that I end up doing. And so when I ask for compensation, or when it's the start of the games and the Google Sheet hasn't been updated yet, it's because there's a million things going on. I haven't done all this work today, and I don't want to put out a product to people that isn't fully accurate. And also, I don't want to run around doing all this if I'm hardly getting any money or I'm begging for money. Then there's other things I can do with my time. So you have the file. I've done so many videos explaining how to update it. I have given you the tool, given you the algorithm so that you can be productive with it. I don't know who else is giving away their models like this. I'm sure some people are, but their models aren't going to be as good as this. Everyone has their own biases, and I keep saying it. This is the best model ever created, and that's because of the way I did it. And so, I just want you to guys to take the reins and make it better and not be relying on me so that I don't feel as though I'm disappointing people by not delivering a product on time because I've given you the ability to do it. And for those that don't want to do it, you don't want to do this because it's work. Yes, you need to be paying me like every day. Every day you want me to spend an hour or two doing this, understand that that's time out of my day that I may not be betting, may not be doing anything. So you're asking me to do work. When I'm getting text messages at Sunday morning asking me where the file is, and I'm like, I got a life. I got a life. You know, you paid me 6 weeks ago for something. It does not entitle you to have my work and my time every single day. I will if you pay me that day. As soon as I see money in my account, I assume somebody needs it today. If I don't see money in my account, I assume you guys have taken care of this yourself and I can go on and do other things. And I don't want to get angry, but man, do I get anxious when I am getting calls from everybody about bets and I feel like I haven't been compensated appropriately. Some of you do, and some of you got a file from me today first before I put anything else out or even had time to review the Google Sheet. I thank you for that and I appreciate that. It means a lot to me because that is one of the reasons why I keep doing this for everyone else as well. Right. So this is a way to adjust this thing. It's going to require a lot of work. This is a good time over the All-Star break to revisit anything, especially the batters percentages, which I'm sure probably need some work in the lineup factor slightly. But other than that, I mean, these games are kind of explainable. Colorado, not so much. And moving Baltimore down here, like even so, not a good day, obviously, but justification for what's happening. So, all right, guys, good luck. We'll be back after the All-Star break. There'll be other videos and me doing videos from different cities and all kinds of things going on because I'm getting on a cross-country trip that is starting tonight. All right. So good luck, everybody. May all your picks be winning and enjoy the All-Star break and a break from this for a few days. All right. Good luck.